millions of Americans right here in the good old US of A. Now, this could be bad news for those of you guys, myself included, who have received stimulus checks during the health crisis. As you guys might remember, we got like three different stimulus checks. We got a $600 stimulus check, a $1,200 check, a $1,400 stimulus check. So, like, how would you feel if you suddenly were told that these payments would have to be given back to the government? I mean, seriously, some folks haven't even gotten a stimulus check. They're still waiting on one. And they may be told that they still owe money to the government. Now, many people are already saying that this is just completely unfair. They're pissed off, as this is not what we were promised. This isn't what we were promised. I mean, these were classified as economic impact payments. If you guys remember, you remember how the check used to look with Donald Trump's name on it, and it said economic impact payment. We were told that this was supposed to be free money and that none of us would have to pay it back, repay it back to the government. And, while it did help out a lot of households here at home, it also contributed to inflation, the same inflation that we're seeing every single day right now. Now, the Biden administration has touted that these handouts helped more than it hindered us. Now, that's debatable. I'm not trying to get into whether they were good for us or if the checks were bad for us. But the problem is that the oversight was very limited at the time. And now some people believe that they didn't even care as to who was getting this money, just as long as they could get the money out. Get the money out as quickly as possible. Y'all remember Jerome Powell, printing that money. Money printing was going crazy. Dead people were getting stimulus checks and whatnot. Everybody, it was like Oprah. You get a stimulus check and you get a check and you get a check. You get a check, right? What's going on, Catalia? What's going on, Carol? Carol McCarty. We got Ryan Kelly in here in the live. We are live, guys. If you haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for subscribing and sharing this video. Get the message out there. Now, guys, you might think that, Ron, it's impossible. They're never going to do this to us. But it's already happening to small business owners who collected money during the pandemic. Now, this could lead to these businesses suddenly collapsing, filing bankruptcy, and ultimately affecting thousands upon thousands of American jobs, maybe even millions. Take a listen.
You're working on calcium UDTA.
When the pandemic disrupted life in Scott Volner's small Missouri town, his fertilizer business struggled. Then telemarketers started calling, telling him he should apply for a government relief program called the Employee Retention Tax Credit, or ERC, intended to help companies during COVID.
My phone rings off the hook a dozen times a day from people saying, have you applied to get it yet? At first, I didn't think I qualified. And then they said, if you had a disruption, you qualified.
Volner signed up with a company called ERC Specialists.
We have filed hundreds of millions of dollars in ERC credits for small businesses.
They filed paperwork for Volner's business with the IRS in exchange for 10% of the proceeds. Soon, Volner received $330,000 from the federal government, much of which he plowed back into his company. But it turns out he never qualified in the first place, and now he has to pay it all back.
And it's going to be a long, hard road to toe to get this paid back.
ERC Specialists did not respond to a request for comment.
Determine the cost of goods sold.
Volner says he learned he was misled by the telemarketers when he met his new accountant, Larry Gray.
Of the claims you've reviewed, how many actually qualify?
Virtually nobody.
On YouTube, Gray warned almost from the start that the tax credit was being exploited by marketers.
How to avoid the minefield of participating in a fraudulent ERC.
But he was drowned out by an avalanche of online ads.
This is a $250 billion loss to American taxpayers, arguably. I mean, doesn't the IRS bear some responsibility for that?
IRS bears a lot of responsibility. Congress bears responsibility. Treasury should have got more guidance out.
We have seen a tsunami of bad claims emerge.
Danny Werfel runs the IRS.
Your office estimates there's been at least $2.8 billion in fraud from the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Is that a lowball estimate?
It is. The problem is we have promoters out there who are trying to, put one over on small businesses.
And will those promoters be held accountable?
They will, and they are. That's our focus.
Officials say they are investigating promoters, though just a handful have been charged so far. Meanwhile, evidence...
Whoa, guys, this is crazy. This is crazy, right? I mean, unbelievable. Quick shout out to worstest guitar player in the world. Thanks so much for the big 20 twin. Keep it up, Ron. May God bless. I thank you so much, worstest guitar player in the world. I'm pretty sure you're not the worstest. But anyway, thank you so much for the love. I really do appreciate the support. But guys, I gotta agree. The IRS definitely has to bear a lot of responsibility here. I mean, you guys know that they provided money to like 21,000 businesses that didn't even exist, let alone didn't qualify. 21,000 businesses got checks that didn't even exist. I mean, just pouring out money like it's water. And then when asked about how this happened, Mr. Warfel admitted that there are ways to trick the IRS. Wow. Now, what's really disappointing here is that despite knowing their weaknesses, it seems as if they haven't even addressed it, and they just kind of like let thousands of individuals just steal money from taxpayers like me and you. So just unbelievable. Catalia says it's so evil to do that to, man, hold on, I'm getting all these comments coming in. So evil to do that to innocent, hardworking small business owners. Absolutely. Absolutely. Same small business owners that provide jobs to regular employees. Like most people have a job. And for the majority, as big as some of the biggest companies are, the majority of jobs here in America are provided by the small business owners. So, this impacts everybody. Jerry Early, let's see. Is it Jerry Early? Jerry Early, thanks so much for the big 5. Listening in from Big Island, Hawaii. I love it. Send me a plane ticket. I want to go to Hawaii. But now, seriously, guys, imagine a scenario where all the credit has been, has to be paid back to the IRS. Just imagine that. All the credit has to get paid back to the IRS. Meanwhile, they don't face any repercussions for their actions or inability to avoid this kind of situation. All the pain falls on our shoulders. Now, what's more, promoters who sold people that this was legit, they're not being asked by the IRS to give back what they got. You heard it. You heard it directly from them. At least this is not happening yet. Well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. This is not happening yet, which is pissing off a lot of small business owners. I'll tell you that. The business owner we just heard from, he basically paid that company based on the 10% of the amount that was received. He got $330,000. It sounds like he paid them about $33,000. And yet he may be on the hook for paying all that back. Unbelievable. That's because the IRS, get this, the IRS is coming after the small mom and pop shops and not these promoters who made millions of dollars off of these struggling businesses in the middle of the pandemic, which kind of opens up a precedent for the federal government to discuss the possibility of taking back free money that they've provided to the American people, right? And not only these tax credits, but for most of the money that they've shelled out during the health crisis. And, while it's not set in stone, it is plausible that they talk about this because the federal government is bleeding money as it is. Look how much money is going overseas. All these different countries, all these different wars that are going on. Y'all know how much money is going out there. How much are you getting from that, right? And now the government is like, look, oh man, we spent too much money. We need to get some of this money back. And now they're getting desperate. And they could see this as an opportunity to pull back some of that stimulus check money back from small businesses, back from regular people, right? Employees, people who maybe didn't quite qualify. Now they want to go ahead and do the research and see, oh, hey, you didn't really qualify for this money. You need to go ahead and write us a check back. And what's even scarier is if you've ever owed any money to the IRS, you will already know, and you guys can vouch for me on this one. if you've ever been in a situation where you owe the IRS money, they always charge interest. And no, I have not seen any situations where they waive that interest. So imagine, I don't know, maybe you got a stimulus check for a couple $1,000s, $5,000 or something like that, right? It depends on how many kids you had. I think some people may have gotten close to $10,000 in stimulus check money, right? Imagine, they may charge, I don't know what the rate of interest that the IRS charges is like 10% a year. If it's 10% a year, the checks went out maybe 2020, 2021, you may have an extra, a $12,000 bill come in, after interest is, who knows? But so now, why is the IRS focused on these small businesses, right? Well, unfortunately, they believe at least 90% of these, what are these things called? These ERCs. And hold on, the ERC is the Employee Retention Credit. That's what it was, the Employee Retention Tax Credit, right? So they think that at least 90% of these ERC claims were fraudulent. Note that this Employee Retention Tax Credit allowed businesses to collect up to $26,000 per employee. So the IRS on its end, they paid out about $230 billion within just the last couple of years. Now, I should also note that Werfel is trying to spin this story that it's not their fault. Now, I got to beg to differ here, guys, that they were just doing their jobs and that Americans and small businesses shouldn't have believed these promoters. Okay, so we're in a situation we've never been in before. We're not tax experts, but yet we're supposed to know all the ins and outs of the tax, very, very complicated tax system. I heard that the tax system has well over 1,000 pages to it. It may even be significantly more pages than that. So, now at this point, the IRS they got a backlog of about 1.4 million claims for the ERC program, right? So you've got 1.4 million claims for this Employee Retention Tax Credit program. So chances are, those who have applied recently, they won't even see a cent, as they're rejecting more and more claims now, right? Their super loose policy has now inverted itself, and they're checking everything. They're auditing everything. And with the IRS now back with more funding, it's possible that they go after other stimulus payments made during the pandemic. We all heard that they hired 87,000 new IRS agents or some crazy number like that, right? Now, as you guys might remember, and I kept hearing armed IRS agents. I see you guys in the comments. Now, as you guys might remember, there were many different reasons as to why some individuals were given stimulus checks, right? However, there were also very different reasons as to why some people should not have received this money. And while the IRS didn't bother to try and take a look at all the different ins and outs on why someone should or shouldn't have received the money, they did try to get some of it back. Now, this was very clear with those people who have received Social Security payments, for example, maybe SSI and SSDI. Many folks are getting letters from the IRS or from the Social Security Administration saying, hey, Social Security overpayments have been identified. You owe us, I don't know, $10,000. You owe us $100,000. I've heard people getting six-figure bills from the Social Security Administration talking about, hey, we've overpaid you. You need this. We've sent you too much money. You need to pay it back. And it's scary. Some people are getting their payments completely stopped until they recoup the money. That could take years, decades. Depends on how much you get. Depends on how much you shouldn't have gotten. Now, the IRS, they made the mistake. Of overpaying recipients, which led to them asking for money back. Now, all of this talk about getting money back from the people, it has really encouraged some critics to talk about government spending, specifically the money that you and I have been sending overseas, right? Now, do any of you guys think that that money should be repaid back to American taxpayers? Should any of the money we've been sending overseas be paid back to American taxpayers? I think so. What do y'all think? Because we've now sent what? Hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars to these conflicts that none of us asked for. But what do y'all think about this? I mean, I know this is wild, you know, but this is the Biden administration at work. Now, the real question is, what's Trump going to do about this? If Trump becomes president, is he going to make us pay, some of this money back? Or is he going to write it off? Kind of like Biden's student loan forgiveness program. So what do you guys thoughts on the IRS and blaming them for their mistakes on the American people? Now, if we're talking about stealing from the citizens of this once great nation, we should probably look at our own government officials. Now, I did a previous video that talks about the corruption inside of Georgia and how District Attorney Fani Willis should probably be a lot more careful with her actions. Make sure you guys check that video out right after this one. I'll leave a link for that in the description down below. But I totally appreciate you guys. Thank y'all so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Drake's playlist channel says RFK 2024. We got Rolly Hubbard says that the IRS sucks. Rad Data 4. Appreciate the love, homie. Frank Kaczynski says if Trump don't win, I suggest getting off the sinking ship we call America. Love you too, Katalia. Dead America says RFK for the win. You know, it's unfortunate that RFK really doesn't have a great shot at getting in this thing, but I think he kind of waited too late for this round. He probably would have been a pretty good alternative to Biden. What do y'all think? RFK, Biden, like, who would you put your money on? RFK wants $11 gas, so no for him, according to Jerry Sparks. All right, okay. So if you don't have Biden, if you a lot of Trump 2024 is coming in the comments. Trump train 2024 FJB. We got Josh Cummins in here. Catherine Brandon says RFK wants open border. Well, it looks like if you want your border closed, you got to go with Trump for 2024, and that's a big problem. That open border situation, that is a big problem for almost don't matter. It almost doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with. Closing that border is a priority for Democrats, Republicans, independents alike. So anyway, like I said, guys, thanks so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing. Check out that video that I was just letting you guys know about regarding Fani Willis in the description down below, and I'll see you guys.